Man, it feels good to be back in the lounge.
Is that because the Nuggets won?
That's why. That's
Wait,
number one right.
Did you leave the lounge?
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show. Let's go. Live from the Toyota Lounge and studio here at DNVR HQ. We appreciate all of you guys right now in the Toyota chat. We know we are presented as always by your front range Toyota dealers. Toyota, the official car of DNVR. Fellas, hangover takes today. There's hangovers, you dread them.
Yeah.
But then there's a sweet, sweet hangover. Today, that's what I got.
It's like your buddy got married last night. Like you're all hungover because you celebrated the
But
high
it's
school
cathartic.
buddies. Yeah.
But here's what you're missing is that's called the afterglow. A hangover
You're right.
always sucks.
You know what? Afterglow today.
We're in
not
the
even doing
afterglow
hangover
takes.
Afterglow
We're
takes.
in our
Update the graphic, Kale.
Yeah,
Have it
dude.
ready in 30 seconds.
We're in our Lakers refractory period.
Man, you just ruined it. You just ruined it.
Is this not a Manscaped read?
That's not a Manscaped read. That's not what we're doing.
You had a pretty epic Manscaped read last night, though.
Yeah. No,
That's one
the
word for
chat
it.
was
I got a lot of
mortified.
messages about that one.
That was more. We got
People, I don't know if they enjoyed or were terrified.
They're no
about it.
longer with us.
Oh,
But they
terrifying.
felt away. They felt away for sure.
We're also, you got to celebrate. Nikola
did they
Jokic
laugh
taught
or
me
no?
this, that you have to live in the moment and celebrate the wins. So we're going to do that today by talking about the best moments of the series. We're going to talk about the best games in the last 2 years between the Nuggets and the Lakers. Guys, 12 of them have been great. One of them was bad.
Which one?
The one they lost. That one was bad. Every other game was great, so we're going to talk about the best ones there. We're also going to ask what we learned about the Nuggets in the series. I have some hot takes prepared for that one. And then also early impressions of the Wolves Nuggets. Brendan Vogt is in the house.
Man, it's so cool to be in this timeline. That was my big takeaway from being in LA and then in Game 5. They know what we know.
Yeah.
The Denver Nuggets own the Los Angeles Lakers. And someone double check how it might be frozen over, fellas. Another great day to be us.
It's actually nice seeing people like, I don't know, Eric Flea giving out their moral victory takes. That was always
Did
used
he?
to be us. He said something like, you know what?
Really?
I
He said
know they
after, like,
lost,
game
but I'm
2.
proud of our team.
Yep.
They fought to the bitter
Yeah.
end. 5 games. 5
Dude,
games,
Flea
man.
doesn't even know who's on the Lakers.
Doesn't
I don't
matter.
know. Flea's pretty. He's attached.
He's a diehard. He's a diehard. Over here, repping the Broncos, it's D-Line.
Guys, feeling good. In the afterglow of the Denver Nuggets mowing over the Los Angeles Lakers, the sun is shining in Denver, Colorado. I feel unburdened in ways that I can't describe. I may take a nap.
That's true. Speaking of mowing over, I mowed my lawn yesterday.
Nice.
Harrison Wind also in the house.
The sun is shining so much today that some would call it a potential pool day.
You know what?
Some would call it that.
I'll bet at this very moment
Oh my
Jokic
God,
is in
dude.
the pool.
Bro,
I'm surprised nobody asked him about it last night.
why aren't we doing this podcast from a pool?
I was just saying.
From the fun boy?
DNVR Pool Day has to
Man, the
happen.
fun boy.
The
Yeah.
fun boy. Oh, call
We
me.
should have the pool day before the finals start.
Yeah.
After Western Conference Finals, before the finals.
DNVR Pool Day coming soon. Kale,
Present.
fire up the hangover. Let's get to the hangover takes. I didn't get to be in the lounge yesterday, but I was fortunate enough to be at the arena. And can I tell you guys something?
Yeah.
I caught game 2 and game 5. Boy, do I feel lucky.
Dude, we talked about this. You can't go to any fucking more games. You make them so stressful.
They won.
Yeah, but
How
Harrison-
am I getting in trouble for? Hold on,
Harrison
Kale,
won.
Was that awesome? Are you going to remember Jamal Murray hitting
Harrison
game
went-
winners? Are you going to remember that
We did just mention we don't remember game 1
at all?
Harrison went to game 1 and we won by 12. You go to these two
Yeah,
games.
wait, what happened in game
We
1?
won. Guys, it was so vibey. And I'm telling you that arena, I have a couple takeaways. Number one, I said this at game 2. It was not long ago. In fact, I think it was game 1 of last year's playoffs where there was maybe 30% Lakers fans in there putting their feet up, trying to talk some trash. Since that moment, when Jokic absolutely destroyed Anthony Davis in game 1, Nuggets win game 2, since that moment, it has been so uncool to be a Lakers fan in Ball Arena. And never was that more true than last night. Hardly any Lakers fans there. And you know, the ones that were there got showered with who's your daddy chances they walked out of the arena. And also, I don't care what fan you were, when Murray got the ball and was dribbling out the clock with the final seconds down, everybody in the arena had the same feeling. It was, here we go.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know how it ends. It ends with a winner. It was I got goosebumps. Rarely do you get physical goosebumps. I had physical goosebumps being in the arena last night.
There was just a feeling of, oh, Jamal Murray's definitely going to take this shot, and he's definitely going to make it. Like, I said it on the show last night, I'm always the Nikola Jokic should take this shot guy.
Yeah.
Double coverage, triple coverage, whatever it is. I always want Jokic taking the shot. I wanted Jamal Murray shooting it last night.
Yeah.
Give
was
me
just his time.
Iguodala.
Give me Murray.
I want Jamal Murray.
Yeah. Like, that was obviously his shot to take. He was obviously going to take it. And there was just a feeling of it's going in. And if you're a Laker fan, why would you even show up? Why would you even support that
I
team?
got man.
How could you?
Game 3. This series was 2-0. Game 3 felt like the series was 3-0 in LA. The fans, everyone there kind of had this like, just maybe they can win this consolation prize energy. Maybe we can go on a run tonight. And it's funny they did end up taking Game 4, but to Wynn's point, that extended to LA as well. And of course, I've been in LA before where it's intense Lakers pride and obnoxiously so. And I'm telling you guys, it was cautious and muted at best. And before even Game 3. And I think everyone on both sides of this, even though the Nuggets did not play well in this series, everyone on both sides of this knew what was coming the whole way. And it was wild to watch.
Do you guys remember last year when the LA fan, they cut to like D'Angelo hits a 3 or somebody hits a 3 in like Game 3 or 4. And one of the fans is in the crowd and he's like, ice in my veins. But it was like the most like, he didn't believe it. Do you guys remember this fan?
Like
He's
the girl crying while she's dancing.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like the that was exactly what it was. That was the entire Lakers energy in this whole series. Was like our celebrations have no belief behind them.
He's like, there's ice in my veins, and it's actually a serious medical condition.
Oh, the King James burning the crown.
I mean, a lot of that probably has to do with having to root for that team.
Probably.
D'Angelo Russell, like, how could you honestly root for him?
Dude, they did.
You don't have a choice.
Honestly, they believed that he was a different man.
Well, because he was a different man against the Hornets.
Anthony Davis played a good series, but still.
Phenomenal. I walked away. So here's one of my takes I want to get at that I think is possible. Oh, actually, first we should talk about Jamal Murray. Man,
Yeah, we could.
Before the game, he comes out. Wind, you've watched every warm-up. You've been at the arena more than anyone. How long is his warm-up usually?
20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
you would say. He gets shots up, he gets
15,
a sweat,
20.
gets a little bit of a workout going in.
A longer warm-up than most guys.
Maybe 4 minutes? Maybe 3.5? The quickest warm-up, first of all, he had wrap around his leg that was about this big.
It was massive.
When he walked out, part of me goes like, come on,
It was almost a bit.
Like, it felt like a bit where I was like, oh my God, he's going to walk out in a mummy costume. He goes out, gets like 11 shots up, jogs back, and I'm sitting there. This was before it was announced, and I'm like, is he play? He didn't even get a sweat.
So did you think because of that he wasn't playing? Because that's what I thought.
I mean, again, I didn't want to read too much into it because I actually had thought he was playing before the game based on everything. And then when he came out and did that, I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong.
Can I
Malone's
float
quote,
something out?
Yes.
Was this subterfuge?
Probably.
Were they
I don't even
playing
what
it out?
does that word mean?
Well, Jokic actually said
was
this
it
very
psychological warfare?
Oh.
Did you
making
see?
them believe he was more injured than he actually was?
Who was out there warming up when he was out there, though?
Just we all knew.
Nobody.
Everybody knew. Everyone knew that he was
No
out
Lakers.
there with a giant, comically oversized rat.
The only thing is, it would appear that some of the team wasn't in on this because they thought they were shutting Murray down before
Totally.
Game 5, and then he
Dude,
demanded.
all
to
I
play.
know is that the Warriors played the Denver Nuggets, and David Lee was hurt.
Oh, man. This is going
David
to a
Lee,
deep cut.
But I'm just saying, like, this shit happens in the NBA. David Lee was unfit to play, but Mark Jackson would not acknowledge it, and he left it hanging in the air whether or not he was going to play, and he put him out at a certain point, a big moment in the game, and he was in for like a minute and a half and was actually very injured. Couldn't play at all, but it like fucked the Nuggets rotation up, and it like just threw them. It was just psychological warfare.
Well, Jokic after the game said that's exactly what's going on. None of us are actually hurt. We just want the Wolves to think we are. That's what he said.
And what did you say about Jokic?
I mean, interesting because
He's
he's
never
never
lied.
told a lie.
He's
so
never
that's
told a
interesting.
lie.
He's never told a lie.
Very interesting.
I will say, I think this one was a lie. They look pretty banged up. Murray, I'm telling you, man, I was watching him all night. It looked so bad until it was time to score a basket. Then he looked incredible. It was such a gutty performance from him to come out there right away and hit those shots. And look, I thought he took all series long. I think he was too aggressive.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers their scheme in this series was to double Jokic. After the game, Jokic said, this was a weird series because usually teams mix up coverage, but the Lakers just doubled me every time the whole series. And I honestly think Yoke's passivity, which I still don't always love, but I think a lot of it had to do with the right play is always going to be getting it out, and it lent itself to Murray taking up a higher percentage of the offense in this one. But whatever you want to say about his decision-making, shot-making being below his standard, the guy, attacked this game on one leg in a way that a lot of, Joel Embiid has a migraine tonight, might not play, you guys. Might not play tonight because he has migraine
Or
symptoms.
it's subterfuge.
Or it's psychological warfare.
It could be. But my point is, Murray, after the game, said he couldn't live with himself if he didn't play. And he said, all year, my guys have been playing injured for me. He's like, I can't leave him out high and
So
dry.
glad he said that.
And me too. And I was like, and he approached the game that way of you know what? It hurts like hell, but I have to attack the basket and dunk on LeBron James.
And to the point that he was making, now KCP, who has a sprained ankle and a sprained pinky, gets till Saturday.
Yeah.
And if Murray doesn't gut it out,
I loved your take on that.
maybe not, right? So
Yeah.
that's one of I loved that Murray didn't just do it, but said that on the nose and explicitly, because that what was so inspiring about his performance. And then of course, it's his best game of the series.
Do you think Jamal felt any pressure to play just with how mediocre he's been throughout the series
Yes.
so far?
I think
Yes.
he talked about it after the game.
I think it's more
Because,
like he wanted to.
That has been the storyline of this series to
I
me.
think he felt pressure, though. Yeah.
Jamal Murray has looked not like playoff Murray.
Right.
Yeah.
And far from it. And I'm sure he's a little banged up. I'm sure he's not quite 100%, but nobody's 100% right now.
I'm not 100%.
Me neither. Far from it.
I feel great, but that's not the point.
And
Okay, Jokic.
if Jamal Murray did not play last night, and if the Nuggets lose, that is still the storyline of this series.
Right.
Jamal Murray has not looked great. I mean, now I think that's still a takeaway, at least in my opinion, from this series. But you forget about it a lot because he did what he did.
Yeah. And I think there's something very powerful about what you're alluding to here. Playing for yourself and being self-reliant has its own values and virtues, and there's something to it. But there's something even more powerful about, I'm doing this for them. And I honestly do agree that I think Murray felt some internal pressure. He felt external pressure not to play. The team was begging him not to play. But I think he was
They've done that
feeling
before.
I think they were feeling like, I haven't been great in the series, and KCP is freaking 31 years old and plays through so many injuries. He's out there playing on one leg. Reggie Jackson was in a walking boot and crutches the night before he played in a game. And I think he was just like, my guys, I can't do this to them. I can't tell Yoke, you have to go out there and carry for me, cover for me again. And there's something more powerful about doing something for someone else that almost gets even more out of you in life. And I think last night was a game where Murray wasn't doing it for himself. And that's why he was able to elevate to an even higher level than he was in games 1 through 4.
Most assuredly, that's Nuggets culture. This is like a one for all and all for one situation. They really, I mean, you know what that feels like when you just don't want to let somebody down. You're like, wow, I'm gonna have the worst night of my life, but I'm gonna get this done, whatever it is. And they just have that relationship. Like it's stretches far beyond just like a simple basketball team. They actually have like a true bond. So that's right. Like they'll all, put it out there for each other, which is amazing. That's the culture that like the Suns could never achieve.
And this is why people don't understand it. Is they're like, how is this team so bad? It's like it's human nature actually. When you are not for each other, you're going to be less than the sum of your parts. Whereas Denver is the opposite. And we talk about Murray's shot selection. We could talk about Reggie Jackson, this or that. That team believes in each other in a way that those things don't bother them. Murray's shooting too much. Like they just don't care because they're all doing it for each other. And I think they need to figure out the right balances. They need to find the right things. But it's not contentious. It's not like we got to get Murray to get on board. It's more like, all right, what needs to happen for us all to get the most?
A buddy texted me last night and he asked, is it an awkward dynamic in that locker room that maybe sometimes Murray is taking a lot of shots and missing them, but then he just kind of gets to be this clutch time hero? And I said, I think the proof is in the reactions. Just watch the reaction videos.
They're so happy.
Mike across the court to pick him up.
Who is the number one guy who theoretically would be directly impacted by how many times Murray is shooting as opposed to him.
Yeah.
And you just, he'll do it with Reggie sometimes, but you never see Mike throw his hands up when Murray takes a shot, and he's the first one in the pile when Murray hits those shots. They want him to keep shooting. They believe in him. Jokic believed in him the whole series despite a lot of misses, and it pays off in the end. So it's it's that I think having belief in each other is so huge because everyone gets this little extra bump of goodwill.
Yeah.
And when that is a cyclical thing, like that's some of the special sauce that makes you even greater than the sum of your parts. And the Nuggets have that in abundance.
Did you guys see LeBron try to flinch at a fan?
That was
courtside?
actually hilarious.
what was that?
That was actually hilarious.
I thought it was too because I'm telling the reason I bring it up is Murray dunks on LeBron. Nuggets got 9 free throws last night. It was a joke that the Nuggets got 9 free. That was such a physical game that Denver could not buy a call for.
Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray combined to shoot 49 shots. And they shot 1 free throw.
That's
combined.
insane. And by the
do
way,
you know what the 1 free throw was?
technical?
It was off a defensive 3 seconds
Defensive
call
3
in the
seconds.
first quarter.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
But Murray in the clutch drives the basket on one leg, elevates and dunks on LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron smacks the shit out of him in the
Fouls
face.
him
And,
so
and Ryan
hard.
Green has a perfect picture. It's basically fist to face on Jamal Murray where he's like, right after the dunk. You know what Jamal Murray did after that?
The shrug.
Shrugged
the LeBron,
like,
bro.
I don't give an F. I don't need the call. I don't
So
want
badass.
it. Whereas
Yo.
LeBron, the moment we're talking about where he flinched, he thought there was a bad call, and he stomped like a child and ran to the foul.
Bro.
It almost fell to the ground, and he caught himself because the crowd loved it. The crowd was like laughing at him in that moment, and so and then there was one girl doing this, and he went and flinched, and she freaked out.
It's actually really
And
funny.
it was funny, but at the same time, it was LeBron saving face because for 2 seconds. He acted the whole crowd laughed at him.
Well, but
and he was like, oh, crap, this is embarrassing.
This stuff is so meaningful, man. I'm going to probably annoy people because I've said this too much. The Nuggets are above this free throw conversation.
That's it.
They're above it. And they won that game last night despite
even
that
come up.
massive free throw
It
disparity.
didn't even come up in the show.
And it doesn't need to. And it's not just that they're so good that they don't need the free throws. I honestly believe it sharpens them in the end.
100%.
Because you don't see Jokic losing his focus in those moments anymore. When he was younger, he did. He learned that lesson. You don't see their star guard flailing for calls in the fourth quarter. You don't see guys fading away, giving the other team numbers, sitting there shrugging, going, where is my call? When the Nuggets need to score, they get to their best stuff. When other star players and teams in this league and in the playoffs need to score, they look for a call. Those teams will never win the title. The Denver Nuggets are above this conversation, and they're sharper for it in the end because playing for the whistle isn't a viable option, so they simply don't do it.
Yeah, and that's why the shrug was so cool because it was such I don't need calls. I don't want them. Do it again. I'm going right down the lane again and challenging you, and you can knock me over. I don't care. It was such a badass moment, and it just felt like you knew the Nuggets were going to win the game because Murray was in that zone. The whole team was in that zone, and it was incredible.
What's with LeBron not shaking hands after the game?
Is that right?
I mean, I know it's just basketball, but like, what's
is that true? He
what's with
literally
it?
didn't shake the hand.
Yeah, he ran right off.
Bro, that's like some Isaiah Thomas stuff. That's like, man, we got to make a Jokic, and I took offense to that.
I will say the crowd was very hostile to LeBron. I'm with you. You have class. It's a this or that. He doesn't do it. He hates
Yeah,
Jokic.
not
But
in
it
the
just
friendly
clearly seems like he does
confines
not
of
care for
LA.
Jokic so much. But that was a hostile crowd to LeBron. And like I said, he was, and him doing that to
course
the
it
crowd,
was.
he doesn't do that much. The crowd was a little in his head
They
too.
got to him a little bit,
It got to him, and that's why I thought it was so great, and that's why that dunk was so great, and why Murray's response was so great. Because if you're LeBron, you want to intimidate, you want to scare, and that was Murray being like, "We are not at all in the slightest scared of you,
I'm
and
telling
you
you,
can
man.
hack us, and we don't care."
I'm telling you, man, like the talking point is that there is a turning of the page in the NBA,
Yep.
and nothing more clearly just demonstrates this as Anthony Edwards pounding his chest and talking shit to KD,
Yep.
and just belittling him, and Jamal Murray doing the same thing to LeBron
lot of
James.
parallels in those, yep.
But that's just like, that's what happens like in the animal kingdom. Like at a certain point when the king dies, somebody comes and takes the mantle, and like that's the version of fighting in basketball, is that he like took his heart.
Yep.
And it's it really is a clear indication that the old guard is dead. The king has died.
Let's take a quick break because we're long in segment one, but I have more stuff to fire off on this one before we move into some of our best moments from the series.
Guys, check out. Oh,
No,
That was a
please.
good
oh,
moment.
please go.
No.
No, I insist. I
Please.
insist.
I
Do
insist.
you see do you see what happens when you try to have a team and you're not on the same page?
I know.
Are
Like,
we
have
overpassing the
zero
ball here?
chemistry.
Come on,
Are we the
guys.
Suns?
I'm over here standing in the corner all here.
Standing in the corner. We got to get Wind involved,
Shoot the
guys.
ball, Jokic. Just shoot it.
Can we get him some touches and
Stop
segment two?
ISOing, please.
Okay, check out Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Your front range Toyota stores are electrifying the Nuggets playoff run by providing championship level fan experience. They're doing an awesome giveaway for the playoffs. Incredible prizes available, including playoff tickets, a private suite experience, a flyaway adventure to witness the Nuggets playoffs on the road, and a brand new 2024 BZ4X, Toyota's all-electric, all-wheel drive SUV. So how you enter and get involved, scan the QR code right there on the screen. You can see it, bottom left. Scan that QR code. The link is also in the show notes too. But don't miss out this opportunity to electrify the playoffs with your front range Toyota. Toyota, a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. Tons of awesome prizes that you can win throughout the playoffs. So scan that QR code, get involved with Toyota. They'll be with us every step of the way.
They're giving that car away?
Yeah, that's the electric one.
Oh my
think
God.
that's it.
Dude, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're looking to play fantasy basketball during these NBA playoffs, the easiest place to do it is at Underdog Fantasy.
Underdog is cool, man, and it's so easy, so
It's
quick.
so easy, and you don't
like
need to build
props
a
for
team.
dummies.
You do not need to build a team. You just need to build a pick'em. And I won again last night, guys. I had Michael Porter Jr. over 2.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Aaron Gordon rebounds, Jamal Murray points. You do have to get a player from the other team as well. I thought Austin Reeves was due. I did higher on 15. He finished with 19. I won big again at Underdog Fantasy. I cannot guarantee you wins. No one can with fantasy, but I can say that if you know your Denver Nuggets, and I know you do, then you know how to win at Underdog Fantasy. Go check it out. Sign up today with promo code DNVR and get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special in your lobby. That's Underdog Fantasy, code DNVR. Must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ncpgambling.org.
All right, back here, segment 2. Throw us a like if you're watching it live. Leave a comment if you're watching it late. Here's the thing. I walked away from this series very impressed with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, as was the case last year, although even more impressed with Anthony Davis this year. Remember, Lakers fans kept saying as going into the series, you got Anthony Davis when he was hobbled. Now you get him full strength, and let's see what happens. 5 games instead of 4. Like, that was the difference.
God damn it. Stop rubbing it in. I was sure it was going to be a sweep.
But
I mean, that's what conversations can do. They can win
That's
you
true.
a game.
they didn't have enough conversations, though, clearly.
Do you think
Enough for one game.
Wait, did they stop talking?
They made me stop talking. But here's the thing. I walked away from that series very impressed with Anthony Davis and LeBron, and I
Yeah.
know this is going to sound crazy.
Yeah.
Here's my thought. Before we'll get into the Wolf stuff more specifically later on. But there is a sense of nervousness, I think, from Nuggets Nation collectively that the Nuggets did not look like world beaters in round 1. I have a different perspective on it. They definitely didn't, and I think the injuries, piling up is concerning. I think the Lakers are better than... They're not an 82-game team. They're just not. They have old man LeBron, who's my age, literally my age. And they have Anthony Davis, who somehow played 76 games this year and played at a high level. And then they have not the greatest depth. But I think as a playoff team, as a 16-game team, they're actually very good because they will always have 2 of the 4 best players in a series, and on any given night could have the best player in a
Dude,
series.
They all jokes aside, rolled through the in-season tournament. Like,
There's no way to say all jokes aside and then
but I
bring
mean,
up the
all the
in-season
same.
tournament.
I think just to illustrate your point is that they have the top gear.
Right.
They
Yes.
just can't hit it that often
Correct.
because they're too old.
They have the top gear and a short gas tank, and that's kind of how it works. But nonetheless, they made Denver look bad in this series. And the reason that they made Denver look bad, and again, Jokic averaged 28, 16, and 10 on 60% shooting, so how bad did they actually look? But the reason is, one, they have somebody in Anthony Davis that, in my opinion, is Jokic's toughest challenge. That's his toughest one-on-one matchup. And
Really?
they threw a double at him. And they had LeBron James, who in playoff mode is incredible. This is why they made the Western Conference Finals. Now, I don't think they're a great team, but I think that those 2 guys are a tough out no matter what, and specifically challenged Jokic and challenged the Nuggets in ways that made him look ugly. And I think we're discounting the fact that this was a 5-game series. Denver won ugly. What do we say about Boston? They win pretty, but they can't win ugly. Denver's the opposite, and it's not necessarily a negative thing that they got the series done by winning 4 ugly games.
You could be really worried about their wide open shooting woes in this series. Alternatively, is your perspective. The Denver Nuggets didn't hit their threes and they won a series in 5 games. That's kind of how I feel. I understand what you're saying about the Lakers. I thought that Western Conference Finals team was pretty good last year, not against the Nuggets in the playoffs. I just think the Nuggets played a bad series. Jamal Murray shot 40% from the field. Did he shoot below 30% from three in the series? I think he might have. KCP couldn't hit a shot. I just don't think the Nuggets were very good. And yet they won in 5 games. So different version of a similar perspective. There's if the Nuggets play poorly, they won't beat the Wolves, but I just don't think that's the same thing as they will play poorly. Like, it's a fresh series, they get a fresh start, and at the end of the day, despite a lot of things not going their way, they walked through the first round. And so I'm excited for a fresh start because I don't think the Nuggets overnight forgot how to be the Nuggets. I think some shots didn't go in, and I think they're likely to go in round 2.
I have a little different of a perspective. Like, before the series, I feel like we thought Jokic was well past the Anthony Davis matchup. We kind of talked about Anthony Davis like he doesn't really see him anymore. And, like, Anthony Davis, he had a good series. Like, defensively, especially in Game 5, like, he was really impactful on Nikola Jokic. So, I think the Lakers, like, part of the Nuggets looking bad was the Lakers making them look bad.
Right.
The Lakers did some stuff defensively, and I think a lot of it is just because of the familiarity and how many times they've played them. They know what the Nuggets want to do, and I feel like they're kind of comfortable just because they've played them so much. The Lakers did some stuff defensively that made the Nuggets look bad, I thought. I feel like the Lakers did some stuff that made the Nuggets look out of rhythm and not get the normal shots that they do and not operate with the typical just rhythm and cadence, and they didn't get the ball popping as much as they usually do, I feel like. So I agree with some of that. Like, I think it's good to get past this, and Timberwolves are going to be a good series, a new series, a fresh start. It's going to look a lot different, but I still have a lot, like, to be desired when it comes to the Nuggets and what they've shown so far.
There's no question about that. Like, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is I don't think the Lakers, like, there's a sense of they're a 7 seed, they're not that good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Anthony Davis and LeBron in the playoffs is really... LeBron's like 84-14 all-time in playoff series.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat him.
Well,
and they won in 5.
The other thing that I think that people forget, and we talked about this before, that the Lakers shifted, as you said, their identity to be a little bit more offensive than maybe it was last year. But last year, like, one of their calling cards was their defense. Like, they're a big team. They're a long team. And there's, like, a lot of positions that can give you trouble. It's just, it makes you nervous because you're like, well, we're going to need that outside shooting. Like, it's not like as much, it's not as optional in the next round. So to watch them struggle for an entire round, it gives you pause because you're like, all right, well, like, they're gonna double Jokic with those big 2 centers. We have to have Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray knocking down shots to make them break that strategy, because they can kind of, like, as much as anyone, it's not one person that can guard Jokic, but 2 big, tall guys give him like, they make it difficult on him. He can't score as easily unless you force those guys to space out. Like, and they can't, you can't leave anybody open. So that's just what makes you nervous. But the Nuggets have all of the keys to unlock anything that the Timberwolves want to do to them. It's just a matter of execution. And so, like, when the execution is a little bit off, and Jamal Murray is going into a series with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and potentially Jaden McDaniels on him, it doesn't get easier.
I think this whole thing that we're talking about just comes down to, I just think Jamal Murray wasn't great in the series.
He wasn't.
That's
and,
really
and,
it.
and it's just that. And you talk about, okay, well, now the defense gets even more difficult and this or that. It's going to be the truth of the next series. But here's the thing we always say of Jamal, and I think last night was a watershed moment for him. I don't know if he's going to be as quick as he was last year, because the injuries have added up. I don't know. But I think last night was an overcoming of that. And this is why there's players like Jimmy Butler, there's players like Kobe Bryant. It's for them, it's not about, is the table set for me to do my thing? It's, how do I run through this wall? Like, if I can't go around, if I can't figure it out, then how do I just run through it? Last night was a run through the wall game for Jamal Murray. And it's like, that's right. It's not going to be the same as last year. I don't know if Murray's going to be dancing for step backs and have a 50 piece or any of this. But last night showed me that they can win other ways. And I think every series takes on its own personality. what happened through all five games in that Lakers series, throw it away because
Right.
this is a new challenge and it's going to have a completely new personality. I think it's going to be a phenomenal series. I have a lot of respect for the Wolves, but I just think Nuggets Nation can exhale a little bit and say every series is different.
Yes.
And Denver's best, I think, is probably ahead of them. Let's go on now to relive some of the best moments. Wind, I'll let you start us off. What's the best moment from this series?
The best moment from this series is last night.
Really?
Yeah. It's the game winner to win the series and win game 5.
I feel like that's a controversial take.
I mean, 2 game winners, 2 pretty similar shots. One was, to cap a 20-point comeback in game 2. The other was, to win a game that was pretty tight throughout. But I just think, if you're comparing the 2 game winners, the one that won the series with everything that was at stake, if Denver drops this game, they could have lost the series. I really believe that. I just feel like game 5, game winner holds more weight.
Yeah. Vote. What was the best moment of the series?
Game 2 game winner for me. Game 2 game winner.
Oh my God.
Jamal was so bad in that game, man. Until he wasn't.
Yeah.
10 points in the fourth, or maybe 12. But what were
Felt like 1,000.
and the final 2 were most important. And a very pure game winner, like literally a buzzer beater, taking AD, taking
There
it.
is something different about
There is.
no time on the buzzer goes while it's in the air.
AD falls into Denver's dog pile.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. So I'm gonna have to go with game 2. Also, it was the first playoff game winner of Jamal Murray's career. And I wrote this in the grades, you guys. There's never gonna be a more complicated player to try to describe. Even just the playoff riser thing. It is true that he is statistically, arguably, the biggest playoff riser in NBA history. He's not bulletproof in the playoffs. He'll also sometimes struggle. It's like that.
Till it matters.
It's like that term paper due at the end of the semester.
He's a
It has
procrastinator.
to get done. You know it's going to get done. You just don't know exactly when or how it's getting done.
Dude, that's
But for you to pass this class, dude, it has to happen. And guess what? It effing happens. Some way, somehow, by the end. Jamal Murray in arguably his worst shooting playoff series to date, or one of them, especially since he's really rounded a corner, what it will be remembered for, his first 2 game-winning shots in his playoff.
and it's not just that he gets the assignment done or turns in the term paper. He turns in magic. Like, you get it and you're like, oh my God, how did you get this done? It's not just like he puts the, like
Right.
D'Angelo Russell, like glues shit together. He's like, here. And you're like, that's terrible. 0 points.
Yeah.
But Jamal Murray like turns it in. You're like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever read. You saw a tear wells up in your eye.
Right.
Yeah, it's so true, man. Game 2 for me was probably it, and I think it honestly comes down to just the fact that the buzzer ended the game. The game was over when it went through, and everybody dogpiles. Whereas Game 5, you're right, more significant stakes win, but
He's also like playing on one leg.
the game overall probably better, but the shot itself. Then they inbound the ball because they don't have a timeout, and I just was weird. It would have been way better if that buzzer hit as it went
my
through the
God.
net, and it was like
Dude,
get off the court.
The moment after game 2 on, where the Nuggets won the series after game 2.
Yeah.
I know because
Yep.
of TikTok, which is why we can't ban it. I saw all of the Lakers' reactions in much more intimate ways than I ever would have before, and they were broken.
Yeah.
Broken. I'm going to bring some of these onto the show.
Guys, I'm telling you, this ruined LeBron.
I
This
know.
series, between last year and this year, the damage done to LeBron's, like, you can just see it on him, man. He is such a, like, shell of himself, right? He's fuming. He's mad. It's wild. Honestly, LeBron has been so great, but watching him, it's like Sisyphus. He's out there and he's just like, why am I cursed with this team?
No, he's not Sisyphus. He's just old. He's not getting the boulder back up.
But I just feel like he's going out there with this heroic effort of like, I'm going to get
course.
this my all. And every time it's the most painful way he goes out. It's like, he just knows. It's
He's the
weirdest
old
thing,
gladiator
man.
that goes out and there's no getting out of this gang. Like you just gotta be felled.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. All right, do we have a third best moment?
Yeah, I've got one. Anthony Davis ending a press conference by dropping a microphone and
I think
walking
you're right.
walking off the stage.
I think that might be
You
the
don't
third
think
best
it's the
moment.
dunk and shrug?
I will remember
Neck and
Anthony
neck.
Davis dropping that microphone. I'll hear it for the rest of my life. I mean, listen,
Jamal Murray made a shot. This is so
he gave rise to a movement with that.
But this
I'm not saying that dunk wasn't great. Listen, we're talking about what's your most favorite meal. They're all great.
But the dunk right after that wind.
Yeah, I mean, the dunk, like, that wasn't a huge moment, too. That was, what was there? A couple minutes left in the game?
I also
Clutch time over LeBron on a bad calf, and then to do LeBron shrug afterward.
Oh man.
And to look at it, like he kind of gets,
Yeah,
he does.
to
He did
stare
the
him
thing where I'm
down.
not staring him down. I'm looking right around you, but I'm really
Yeah.
shrugging. I'm sure it was so great.
and then a dark horse moment. I think you guys are right about that being the top. Porter's 3
Oh,
in,
dude,
game
absolutely.
2 that I think it tied the
Dude,
game late
absolutely.
in the bar, dude. Someone flipped a
The
table. I
AG
think.
rebound to the MPJ 3.
Yeah, they looked
was
like Jokic
was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
You thought for a moment that Jokic was just going to throw it out of bounds.
By the way, AJ did it again last night. That Jamal 3 in crunch time
my
when
God.
AG grabbed his 5th offensive rebound of the game.
Massive.
And he by the way, LeBron James is in position.
Yep.
Goes for a strong box out, kind of reads it well, but AG kind of reads the box out, snakes past him, jumps over him,
So strong.
rips it from him. That was, by the way, I thought AG's like physical effort on the glass was the biggest thing missing in game 4 when they
Yeah.
lost.
He didn't have it.
Comes back in game 5.
That
but
rebound he made last night.
so now that I think about it, he had 2 like really big time offensive
Dude, can I tell you a
rebounds.
double dark horse candidate?
Yeah, go for it.
Triple dark horse candidate?
What?
Christian Brown yamming all over AD
That's
in
right.
game
yeah.
1.
I forgot about it.
I know,
That
you don't
was
want to know
game
why.
1.
You know, this
Left-handed. You're right.
my actual favorite moment was game 1 because it was not stressful. We won by 12. We demoralized them. It wasn't like didn't take years off my life.
Yeah, that's true. That was another great one.
Triple dark horse.
And then the Jokic tip pass.
Oh yeah.
Where is it at? Oh, right here. Boop.
So our angle on that from LA, the press row, we're straight behind. So you can't see the moment where he actually sees the
Oh my
All
God.
you see is Jokic go, what? And then the ball's in Mike's hands. And I'm not gonna name any names. A lot of expletives on press row. Just let everyone like
Name
what?
'em.
What? It was me. What just happened? What just happened?
It was also perfect. He goes like this, and the ball goes perfectly right to the spot. That's like,
Dude, you want to talk about a precision spike ball player?
it's so true.
Dude,
Remember,
he's
he
probably
is great at it.
I know. We
I
talked
mean,
about
he's
this last
probably the
night.
greatest of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this
Greatest
is like
spike ball player ever.
Dude, it's like Karate Kid. Like every motion, you didn't realize you were being trained for.
So
they
true,
played
man.
spike ball in training camp, and it all led up to that moment.
Michael Malone, man.
Wax
Mr.
on.
Miyagi.
Wax
in the
on,
flesh.
dude.
If there's any others, leave them in the chat that we forgot. We'll get to those on the other side. We're also going to turn our look over at early impressions to the Wolves Nuggets, and then also in the next segment ask what did we learn about the Nuggets. More importantly, takeaways, and then we'll put the Lakers behind us.
Ooh, see you in hell.
If you're a beer lover, check out the Pub Pass. You get access to tons of buy one, get one, $1, and even free beers at more than 300 breweries.
How good does
and
that sound
bars
right now?
in the greater Denver area. Just a crisp,
Going for a 2-for-1.
old beer.
Guess we'll
Oh.
go after this show.
That
Well,
sounds
actually,
so
I'm going to go when you guys are reading this. If you don't
Okay,
mind.
that's fine.
It's just $5 a month. The Pub Pass pays for itself the first time you use it, an absolute no-brainer. But if you use the code DNVR, you get a year of access to the best craft beer app in the country for only $2 a month. More than a 50% discount. Awesome
Disgusting.
deal. You get that for 1 year, a 1-year subscription for half off with the promo code DNVR. You can hit that QR code right there on the screen. Download the Pub Pass today in the App Store, in the Google Play Store. Use code DNVR when you sign up. Get the Pub Pass for 1 year for half off using that promo code. Gives you tons of access to free beers at more than 300 breweries and bars in the greater Denver area.
I want like a sunshine wheat.
You can probably get that.
Something that reminds me of the fallen carcasses of the Lakers turned into beer that I can drink like the soul of my enemy. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds like
Does anybody, are there any breweries that make something like that?
It's almost summertime. There's a decent chance that some of you out there have some Vegas trips planned. You know where to go. Circa Resort and Casino, baby. Take the playoff plunge at Circa's Stadium Swim to watch your favorite teams during the playoffs. Use code DNVR20 at checkout for 20% off when you're staying at Vegas's first ever adults only casino resort. Your bartenders aren't checking IDs because they don't let kids in, which is cool, man. I'm not against kids on principle unless I'm in Las Vegas.
Yeah, dude, there are moments where kids are not. It's not appropriate to have children around.
And I think Las Vegas is one of them.
Definitely.
At least the casinos, but they're not. They're not at Circa Resort.
Watching
Casino.
a live version of this podcast.
It's the world's largest sports book, by the way. There's a huge casino, and then once you've placed your bets, if you don't want to watch them inside, you can go outside the stadium swim, where they have a massive 4,000 person capacity pool with a massive screen. There's a visual right there. Watch your bets play out
Oh my God.
at a really just an A-plus place.
What do you guys
to
think of
watch
that
sports.
playoff plunge logo?
That's
I
that
love it,
playoff
man.
plunge.
That's incredible.
that.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's nice.
When did you start making like graphics and stuff?
Oh, it just started.
Experience Stadium Swim and watch your favorite teams at Circa Resort and Casino. Book your stay with code DNVR20 for 20% off.
Man, somebody, and if you do this, by the way, take pictures. Send it to us, man.
Yeah, dude.
You'll be our
Yeah.
number one homie if you take the playoff plunge.
Yeah, dude.
This playoff.
We're looking for as many shirtless guy photos as we can get.
Oh, send them to us.
Send them
our
to
way.
us, man.
Put them in the DMs.
That's what
Yeah.
we want. Clamoring for it. All right, guys, let's ask now. Segment 3. Let's ask, what did we learn about the Nuggets in this series? I'm going to start with one, and it's a bit of a downer. The Nuggets are not healthy like they were last year, and health is such a big factor. I don't think it's damning. But Yoke, to me, it's so hard to repeat because it's so exhausting to go all the way to June. Yoke, to me, looks tired. I think he can overcome it.
Really tired.
I think this was a taxing series. I honestly think that, again, Anthony Davis was hard to go up against, and I think it took a lot out of him. But I think, not so tired that he can't be his best self. I'm just saying that is a challenge that I don't think they faced last year. I think they were more rested because they took March off last
Yeah.
year. They're a little more tired this year, and that'll be a storyline if these series ends up going long. And then Murray's obviously banged up. I don't know if he's going to get his quickness back. I don't know if we'll get 100% Murray physically. And then KCP, Reggie Jackson. So that's number one to me is, okay, they're going to have to do it differently than they did last year because I don't think they're going to have the health factor in their corner for all of the playoffs.
For sure. I mean, that's a very valid number one. And if you think about the Jokic fatigue angle combined with Jamal Murray being less than 100%, there's just naturally going to be more on Jokic's shoulders, and that's tougher if he is more fatigued than he was last year. Not Jamal Murray, not like being playoff Murray right now. Like that was the biggest thing I took away from the first round, and it just means that like more is going to be on Jokic's shoulders. And, like that's probably going to be a theme of this playoffs. You know, heading into the Minnesota series, I feel like Nikola Jokic has to have a like historic Nikola Jokic type of series. I feel like that's the expectation for him.
He said after the game, I think it's going to be a very interesting series.
I love when he says that.
He had such a like smile on his face too. It was like such a
Because he
what?
enjoys
Like, he
the
already knows the
tactical
ending.
challenge
Yeah,
of it.
Like when you read a book and you're like, I think you'll find it pretty interesting.
He also goes, I think it's going to be a very, I think it's a good matchup for us or something like that. And I was like, and you know how Yoke is? You never know if he's saying it'll be a tough matchup or good as in easy. He just says it'll be good. It could be as good as in land.
I think
really
he means
hard.
tough.
I think he
right
does
there.
too.
Yeah, he is a disciple, and he is subservient to the basketball gods.
It's true.
If the basketball is good and pure, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good matchup. He's like a spectator that's playing.
What do we learn?
It sure looks like the Nuggets have a different option on offense in Michael Porter Jr. than they did in last playoffs. And consistency at that level in the playoffs is hard to come by. It is one of the next boxes for Porter to check, I think. His floor is much higher, but his consistency in terms of just being reliable as a secondary option when needed. Goodness gracious, was he good in round one. 22.8 points per game, 8.4 rebounds per game, 55.3% from the field, I believe, 53.5% from the field, 48.8% from three. He made almost half of his threes while shooting 8 of them, 8 per game in this series. The Wolves are built to guard Jokic. They're built to guard Jamal Murray. Can Porter be a louder factor in this matchup than he played pretty well against the Wolves last year, but it was a bit inconsistent. I think right now, if you have Jamal Murray off to a slow start, or maybe it's a lot of attention, I do think the Nuggets can seriously consider getting Porter more involved, getting Porter more touches in a way they didn't last postseason run.
He looks really good, and he's going to be, we'll get to it soon, but he's my X factor in the next series because I actually think he's just as important, if not more so, based when you start to go through the matchups on both ends, defensively and offensively. What else did we learn, fellas?
So I don't know that it's a learning so much as a reminder that there's no more clutch team in the NBA than the Denver Nuggets. And it kind of, like even if they're not playing their best, they're still going to be the one standing at the end. They just have it. Like it's when they get down to the brass tacks portion of the game, and even if their defensive, their guard is falling and the other team is scoring, like we were saying, like the Lakers scored 80% down the stretch, but the Nuggets scored 100, and you cannot stop that two-man game. You literally cannot stop it. All you can do is hope that they miss, and that's not a great strategy with those two specific players. And so, like, you could say, yes, Jokic maybe looked a little bit more fatigued as it went on, but like not when it mattered. And that's the thing. It's like when it comes down to it, like LeBron and AD looked fatigued in that they couldn't perform the whole time. And Jokic can. Even if he looks maybe as like he's slower in his, getting up and down the court, like it doesn't affect his effectiveness like it does other players.
I don't love Jokic's passivity, but I do feel like it was deliberate. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I just think from watching it that he was viewing those double teams as what's the point of trying to go through this, and then even played his game to be more on the elbows and the top of the key, which is naturally passive because you're so far from the hoop, but it also drug Anthony Davis away from the hoop. So I hated it, but I feel like Jokic was being very intentional about it, and at the end of the day, they won in 5, and he averaged a 30-point triple-double on 60% shooting. So who am I to sit here and complain that he didn't do it the way that would have made me feel better?
The clutch stuff down the stretch was incredible from the Nuggets this series, and you just can't stop them. Like, it will take a truly special defense to stop them in the clutch. Maybe Minnesota's is that. We'll find out. They've been an incredible defense all season, but the Jokic-Murray two-man game, just Jokic by himself, the shooting, Michael Porter Jr. and his clutch shooting as well. But then the secret ingredient to the Nuggets' unbelievable clutch time offense is Aaron Gordon and the 50-50 plays and the hustle plays that he makes. The offensive rebound he had at the end of Game 5, I don't know if the Nuggets win that game.
They don't.
If he doesn't make that offensive rebound. Denver was down with a minute left. And Aaron Gordon gets that offensive rebound over LeBron James. Not the only one he got over LeBron in this series. Kicks it out to Jamal Murray, who hits that three. That was the biggest shot of the night before Jamal Murray hit the game winner. Aaron Gordon making those hustle plays is such a perfect and needed ingredient to the Nuggets and what they do in the clutch. And it just makes them that much more well-rounded of an unstoppable offense.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I think another thing is that the bench this year is going to be probably more situational. And I would even say that I think Michael Malone's toughest job is going to be figuring out how to make them viable. Malone loves to play his starters together a lot of minutes. He's never broken that up. He likes just to give them an extended run and then start to stagger a little bit. I don't know that you can play a lot of minutes with Christian and Peyton together. I just think it's going to be hard. Like, they're not offensively, they're both so tough that I almost feel like I'm curious if in this next round, first of all, Peyton and Christian both have a big job. I don't know who guards Anthony Edwards in this next series because it's tough. Like, physically,
it'll be Casey, or it'll be Aaron Gordon.
But they haven't been able to stop Edwards ever.
Edwards, I think, is going to be a tough matchup. But Christian Brown and Peyton Watson, I think your odds go up if those guys can make. You don't expect them to stop Anthony Edwards, but if they can make an impact, if they can just go out there and buy you some minutes and play. But I think Malone, to do that, is going to have to find ways to split them up more than play them together.
I think you can play Peyton Watson and Christian Brown together.
But your offense is going to be very vulnerable.
Well, the problem is Reggie Jackson, man. Like, that is the problem with all these lineups. And, yeah, in theory, you need him out there to be some offense. He had a good first half in Game 5. He had a terrible second half. But I think you can play them together. You just need, the right pieces. You need Jamal Murray and Michael Porter or KCP out there with those guys. And I feel like it's going to be important, for the Nuggets to play them together in this series.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see P. Watt drawing a cat assignment from time to time. That's going to be interesting to see because we talked about a couple of strategies they could employ, which is, and they did this against the Suns too, where they would put Cat just with the bench and allow Cat to sort of roll over the bench, and that puts the Nuggets in a strange position where it's like, do you stagger Aaron Gordon to keep him on Cat the whole time? Do you bring in DeAndre Jordan? Do you have to look at a guy like Zeke? But more than likely, you would assume Peyton Watson would draw that assignment. But then, if they then opt to then just keep Rudy and Cat together, that makes life difficult for Jokic because then you have the one guy that's roaming that can come over and bracket him in, and then you find yourself way more reliant on a Jamal Murray and a Michael Porter Jr. than maybe you felt comfortable in the first round because they weren't knocking down shots.
Yeah.
Porter is, but not Murray. So makes you a little nervous. But again, the Nuggets can beat them. They have the right recipe to beat anything they would do.
And the Wolves can beat Denver. They also have a collection of players. That's what makes this series really interesting. I will say, this is my biggest takeaway. Then we got to move one last break and then get to the real early impressions. But the Nuggets are Heat culture, but with good players. The Nuggets culture is so strong, and they won that series. Round one felt like a Heat series, where it was like, was it pretty? No. Did they play their game? No. Did they win? Yeah. How? They're just better in all of the intangibles and all that stuff. The difference is the Heat have Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, and the Nuggets have Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get our early impressions. We have 2 more days. We're going to be previewing this, by the way, Wednesday and Thursday show. So we're going short on Wolves today, but next 2 shows are going to be very Wolves heavy.
Guys, check out Breckenridge Brewery. Breck Brew, they got a new West Coast style IPA, the Ridge Runner. This double dry hop brew is inspired by the untamed beauty of Colorado's trails. Hop back infused with whole cone hops and a double dose of Citra lupulin powder creates notes of bright citrus and pine. This might be right up your alley. This might be the beer you were looking for.
A fallen tree.
Breckenridge
LeBron James.
Brewery, the official craft beer of DNVR. They've got a beer for any occasion. There's no better way to watch the game than by having some Breck Brew by your side. Try out some of our favorites, the Avalanche Amber, the Mile High City, the Broncos Country Pale Ale, the Funslinger Good Company Hard Seltzers, and also their new West Coast style IPA, the Ridge Runner. Check it out today. Go to the breckbrew.com, type in your zip code, use their Breck Brew beer locator. You can find Breck Brew no matter where you are. Breck Brew, the official craft beer of DNVR.
The heart of American rugby is right here in Glendale, Colorado.
Hell yeah.
Where Infinity Park is and the American Raptors live. The American Raptors, Colorado's only professional rugby team. They're back. You can catch their games on ESPN+. You can learn more about their games and the game itself with our guy Colton Strickler hosting the weekly DNVR Rugby podcast. He does a good job of balancing it's for the laymen, it's for those of you who already know what you're talking about. And then also there are opportunities here for athletes, and that's kind of the American Raptors project here. If you're an elite athlete who didn't get the ticket you wanted, check out the opportunities at Infinity Park. Rugby just may be your next ride. The American Raptors wrapped up their 6-game homestand at Infinity Park and are now set to return to South America for the last 3 matches of the Super Rugby America's regular season. Don't miss out on catching the Raptors in action as they fight hard to make their final push for the playoffs in the 2024 season. Tune in to ESPN Plus every Saturday from May 11th to May 25th. For more information, please visit AmericanRaptors.com.
All right, final segment here. We're going to give early impressions, some quick early thoughts. And I'm going to start here, Eric, and this one's really for you. The Nuggets have the best culture in the NBA. I honestly believe that. I just think that it is the best. It's been set many, many years ago by Michael Malone, Nikola Jokic, probably Tim Conley as well, and adopted by everyone who has come through that building since, or at least everybody that remains. I think the Timberwolves are unproven, but have the same culture. They have the same DNA in large part because I think that, Tim Conley is there, and I think he has made a big imprint. Chris Finch, who was there in the early days of the Nuggets culture as well, also there. Mike Ganori, who was there for many years, was also there.
I don't know.
But
it's
also because I think Anthony Edwards is an authentic leader. And that's such an important thing. I think Yoke's an authentic leader. He's not leading from ego or from neuroticism or any of this other stuff. He is leading from charisma and from competition and all this stuff. And I actually think that In every series besides one we've seen in the last 2 years, the Miami Heat series, Denver has had a cultural advantage. I don't think they have that in this one because maybe they do, but it's like a slight advantage. But I think the Wolves are their equal in terms of belief, all the guys buying in and knowing what their role is, and all of those types of things.
So to me, the difference is that they're not hard-tempered the way that the Denver Nuggets are. Like, we've seen Anthony Edwards in charge of, I mean, granted, this is a small sample size, but you have to look at when he's being put in a position to be the leader. And that was the USA squad, the FIBA, in the FIBA tournament. Obviously a very different game, but like he was the de facto leader for the U.S. squad, and he came up small at the end. He threw a pass away. Like, he made mistakes.
Well,
like,
he's not Jokic.
No, I know. That's my point, is that he's not hard-tempered like Jokic is tempered, but more than anything, like, he's a very brash, charismatic leader. He's the gladiator, and Jokic is the emperor. And it's like Jokic has the more top-down view, and he can, like, Anthony Edwards, though, you can, like the movie Gladiator, like, you can rise up and defeat the Emperor if you are charismatic and clever enough. It's just, I don't trust the Wolves to know what to do when it really, really, really matters.
You've also got Karl Towns, who can be a loose cannon.
And he's got loser DNA. He really does. Like, as much as I think he's a huge talent, like, loser DNA makes itself very well known in big moments, aka D'Angelo Russell.
I think he's grown though, and the thing is, I agree with you guys on both of these things. One, Anthony Edwards is so young that the curve for his growth is steepest, because it's always steepest when you're that age. And two, I think Karl Anthony Towns has actually benefited from Ant taking over the team, because now that loser DNA, I just feel like Cat has sacrificed a lot, a la Michael Porter, to where it's like the things that he may be at his core, he has worked to overcome on this team, and now he is a good contributing member of it in ways that I wouldn't have guessed for Karl Anthony Towns.
That's a really good point. But for me, there's a two-pronged reason why I think anyone has to pick the Nuggets in this series. I could see the Wolves winning, but the first is what D-Line outlined, which is that as great as Anthony Edwards is, there is a clear best player advantage in this series, and that goes to the Denver Nuggets, of course. The other is that while the Wolves are not the Oklahoma City Thunder, they do not have a ton of playoff experience together. Rudy Gobert does with that Utah team. The Wolves made the playoffs last year. It was a hallelujah moment. They won one game, they went home.
But it was tough. They fought. They did not give up, which is important to me.
I'm not saying that they were bad. I'm just saying they made the playoffs. They lost one game, they went home. Now they come back. They looked great in round one, and they sweep a bad team. They have not been through as many ringers. They have not been through as many game sevens as Denver. They don't know why they've won and lost as many series as Denver.
No question.
And so I think they have grown up and matured in a lot of these ways we're talking about. But have they caught up to Denver? I think, I'll let you go here, Win. I think it's just advantage Denver in those categories for me.
Yeah, that's why I can't put them at the level of the Nuggets in terms of culture,
They're not the
connectivity.
level. They're not the level. They're the Nuggets in the bubble. They're the 2020 Nuggets.
Yeah, we just haven't seen them tested in a big playoff series, man. Like, yeah, you beat the Suns. They were very impressive. Were they tested? Not really. So
that's a team that'll quit on you 10 times.
Exactly. Like, it's not hard to look like you're connected and have good culture when you're playing the Suns. The Timberwolves definitely do. But I'm not ready to put them at that Nuggets level, because the Nuggets have shown that they have that in the toughest moments, in the biggest, highest pressure situations that the game of basketball has.
They have. I wonder if there's a way to look this up, but I would guess the player Jokic has most gone up against in his entire career is Rudy Gobert.
Sure seems like it.
And Mike Conley is probably number 2. You've got Tim Conley there. You've got Monte Morris. You've got Micah Nori and Chris Finch. There is no team that knows Denver more than that team. That doesn't mean, and there's no team Denver knows more than that team. So there is a lot of. We talk about it in a playoff series. Nuggets played the Lakers last year. These two teams know each other. It's nothing like Minnesota, man. Those teams know each other so well, and that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah. But at the end, like, there is a bottom line. There's a bottom line, and at the bottom line for the Denver Nuggets is Nikola Jokic, and like that means everything in the game of basketball. Having the best player means so much more than it does in any other sport. Like, especially when you come down to, you know, if you're telling me these two teams are even, which I think that they are, That's just kind of what we saw with the Lakers. They ride even till it gets to crunch time, and then the Nuggets score 100% of the time, and you score 80% of the time, and you lose by 2, 4, 6 points.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get. I'm with all these. I'm trying to set the table for the.
You just want us to say
those
they're gonna look.
stakes.
All right, I'm picking the Wolves.
I'm actually picking the Nuggets here.
Oh.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to set the table
Yeah.
for all of what I think are very interesting narratives before we get into specifics.
I agree.
You know, the other part of this is obviously they have Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels with a rim protector and Rudy Gobert. For Jamal Murray's purposes, that's a really hard combination of players. He is going to not play a single second without a defender better than anything he saw in the Lakers series. So he's going to have to find a way to be better. It's why I'm encouraged about Game 5 is he found a way to be impactful even though he didn't necessarily had that same explosion. But it's going to be a challenge for him specifically. And that's why I think Mike's going to take center stage.
Couldn't agree more, man, especially if a guy like Jaden McDaniels, who could in theory eat Mike's lunch, even still to this day, right? If he's going to have to guard Jamal Murray, which they want to do, and it's a great matchup against Jamal, Mike is going to have some room to be a difference maker in this series. The Wolves are built to at least temper and mitigate the damage from Denver's best two players. Denver's advantage is how difficult it is to match up with Gordon next to Jokic and Jamal, but then there's a 7-foot sharpshooter out there. He's got to be, not just like as good, but as confident. His read on, I should be involved in this play. I should go get it. I should get this shot up. I don't think Michael Porter Jr. should be a passenger in this round, in this second round. I think he should be a difference maker. Finding that balance is always difficult, but there's room for him there to, again, have a huge impact on this series.
Yeah. What else from the series? Any other big overarching? We'll get into specifics later on.
I mean, I just think this is going to be the toughest playoff series this version of the Nuggets has played. I think this is definitely tougher than any playoff series they played last year, and it's tougher than the Lakers this season. The Wolves are really good. They've got size. They've got depth. They've got a young, budding superstar. They're well coached. They've got good culture. They're a connected team. They go about things the right way. They've been built in a lot of ways to match up with the Nuggets.
Yep.
You know, I don't think there's any mistake about it. A reason Tim Conley got Rudy Gobert, I believe, was to match up against the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic in the playoffs. I think that's a reason he went out and got him. Not because he shuts Jokic down, but because you need size to battle Jokic, and that's what the Timberwolves have. And also, I don't think the Nuggets are playing that great right now. Every playoff series is different. I feel like I'm putting more stock into how they looked against the Lakers than you guys, but I don't think they looked that great in that series. And I feel like they should have looked a lot better against a Lakers defense that I don't believe should have given them as many problems as they did.
This series reminds me so much, this Lakers one reminds me so much of last year's Minnesota series, where I could say the same thing. Denver had a great game one, but they were so rested going into that game. But after that, it was the same thing where they kept winning, but you were like, it's not the most inspiring effort. They go into the second round, and even in that one, game one was a movie. Jokic was phenomenal in every single game, but it wasn't until game 5 where Murray really started to pop. And I kind of wonder if this one will kind of feel the same, where Denver won ugly in round 1, and we're not that inspired by it, but that at some point in round 2, the Nuggets fall into that form. Yeah. And the Nuggets right now, what are they in their last, so they won 4, 8, 12, 13, so 14, 15. So are they 15-2 in their last 17 playoff games? It's kind of underrated to say that. That's an insane run that they're on. And I just could see a similar thing where you get into the series and it's like, there it is. Now the rhythm is catching up.
Yeah, maybe.
And from an even higher standpoint, this to me, the Wolves remind me obviously of the path that the Nuggets found themselves on, where they got close, got a little closer, and then it finally overcame. Obviously, the Nuggets had a lost year in there, the purgatory year where Jamal Murray was injured. But this feels to me like the Minnesota Timberwolves have graduated to step 2, which is they won a playoff series, and then they are
the 2020 Nuggets.
Exactly, and it's like, but the Nuggets are the Warriors right now. It's like,
it's true, but the 2020 Nuggets surprised the team and the Clippers.
Yes.
And that's the thing is Denver is vulnerable now to this upstart belief, this team. And I will say, I think Anthony Edwards is Jamal Murray's equal in terms of that guyness.
Yeah.
Like the way that we talk about Murray just knew those shots were in. Anthony Edwards has that as well.
Definitely.
And Denver has to be careful because while I think Denver will out-execute them in the clutch, if you made this a one-possession game, I won't feel good about it. If it comes down to the clutch, 5 minutes, I think Denver's going to out-execute. But if it comes down to one possession, you're vulnerable to Ant doing what Murray does to so many teams. That's my opinion.
A big difference from the Clippers series, though, right? Like the Clippers were these preordained champs that had not actually won together yet, that had all
Exactly.
but declared they thought the Nuggets were
Exactly.
soft.
Right.
And the Wolves aren't scared of the Nuggets, man.
But I would also say that the Nuggets know this. I don't think the Nuggets are out there going, "Oh, these guys are in our way. They're soft.
Right.
We're going to run through
Right.
them."
That's true.
Which I do think the Clippers thought
Oh,
about the
no
Nuggets in
question.
the bubble. I don't think the Nuggets, again, they don't fear anyone, but I think they know better than to think that the Wolves are just some young pups here.
Totally.
But look, man, the Wolves have to stay in rhythm too. Like they just played a horrid defensive group, horrible team, and the Wolves' offense is their hurdle to clear in the playoffs. There was some big time shot making from some role players. It's going to be a little tighter against Denver. They're going to face more resistance, and if this does go 6 or 7 games, again, those Wolves role players haven't been there before. Do they hit the shots? And is it just going to be Anthony Edwards? Because if it's just Anthony Edwards, Denver can survive that.
Yeah. All right, hit that outro music, Kale. Super chats to get to. What do we got? Oh, look at all these super chats on an off day. People are feeling it. Ooh. People are excited. By the way, Saturday at the DNVR bar, game 1.
Oh, my
I love that
God,
it's a
dude.
Saturday start.
It's going to be a beautiful thing. Please try and make it
popping.
out. I mean, you're going to have to get here fairly early. I will say, like, we're definitely going to hit capacity. But if you
Worth
want to,
it.
if you want to talk about just something that is pretty unique in this part of the world here, like as far as Denver's Colorado is concerned, to like really experience the Nuggets in this way, in a way that feels like a live concert.
Yeah.
Like, come to the DNVR bar.
Super chats. Bashir Daoud,
Our guy.
vote/MPJ MVP of this next series. How many peppers?
5.
MPJ won vote. 5
Five?
peppers.
So
6
what do we think?
peppers.
Is he asking vote how many
That's
how many
wow.
peppers that
I mean, I
take
could
is?
see it with Michael
Honestly,
Porter.
12 peppers if he even gets on the court.
Actually, wait. Oh yeah, is your birthday Saturday?
I do turn 31 soon.
Okay,
May 10th.
there you go.
May 10th. What else do we got? Was he just asking me? Yes, he'll be the MVP. I
Yeah.
agree. 3 peppers.
Yeah, I think he was just asking you.
King Koopa,
Oh.
88. Sorry, I just got excited. Jamal is officially the Maple Mamba.
Unless you get his Chinese name, it's not that.
Oh,
Can't say what it is.
okay.
Look it up.
818, Callie Kane, Jamal versus Ant will be epic. Dog versus dog.
They've got that
Lot
dog,
dog.
inside of them.
Lot
So
of dog
many
in this
dogs.
series.
There's
in
so
that
many
series.
dogs inside of this series.
There will be a lot of
There's
dogs in the series.
An abundance of dogs. Josh Barnett from down under. Nugs equals Toyota. Lakers equals
Canyonero.
Weird Australian car brand.
No, Canyonero is a Simpsons reference.
Endorsed by clowns.
Yes.
Is that Krusty the Clown's car?
Yes. The Canyonero was like a big thing that. Yeah, okay.
Jeremy J. Rock,
Canyonero.
Michael, the new Fitz Rock. Thanks, D-Line, Nugs and 6.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
Jeremy J. Rock put a photo of his new clothing. Like, I know some people, like, it was a little slow getting out. We're past that. We're all set up. It was a big goddamn ordeal to get all of our
we moved
stuff into a warehouse. But now we have a very efficient system, so it should go a lot quicker. And
Growing pains.
That was growing pains.
Rhodey, playoff basketball is the best. You guys are the best.
No.
All the Nuggets are the best.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hey.
Cedric Exquisite feels like Batman versus Hush. Second round. Bro, what are you talking about?
Who's Hush?
Who's Hush?
Hashtag
Hush-
Nuggets and 6.
I bet Hush is like a 12 level deep character in that universe.
Batman villain that Bruce Wayne sees his reflection in it.
Okay, safe. There you go.
Kill this.
Are we done?
Yep.
All right, everybody. Fun show. Good to be back in the lounge. Guess what? We're going to do it all again tomorrow. And then after that, Thursday, we're doing it again.
And then we'll do it again.
And again. And again.
Just
Man.
another great day to be us.
I will tell you, my vibes have not been higher in a very long time than today. I feel great.
Nice.
I feel good too, man. This is going to be such an interesting matchup. I think the whole NBA world's eyes are going to be on it. It's going to be a great one. Hit that like button for us on the way out. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.